Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today we did another talk show and we did it about visualization and affirmations. And we believe that affirmations and visualization are a key secret in the 10 secrets to living courageously. And so today on the show, I had a special guest. Her name is Miss Darla Williams, and I'm going to bring her on so that you guys can see her as well. I'm introducing her to some and reintroducing her to others. She's a mother. She is an entrepreneur of Darla Williams Creations. And she is a very, very, very successful entrepreneur. She has created these 90-day cards, and she's here today to tell us about the cards and also to tell us about the show. So if you want to watch the whole show, you can go to the link and be able to watch her. But today she's going to tell us a little bit about what she is talking about in the actual television show. Hello, Darla.
Hello, hon. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Welcome. It's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being on the television show. I was so excited about the session that we did today, and I'm excited to be able to come on and share with people, give them a little snippet, a little tidbit about what you talked about in the television show. So perhaps you could just introduce yourself first and foremost.
Well, I'm Darla Williams. If you Google it, it's Darla R. Williams to actually get my information. That middle initial is important. A little bit about myself is I've been sharing my story. So you want to just make sure that you jump on and listen to some of and subscribe to the show so that you can hear the different episodes that we've shared so far, because my story is very intensive. It's got a lot of details and a lot of information in regards to mental health and walking through that with my son. It also talks about my backstory of overcoming domestic violence, bringing me to a place where I do the art of learning self-love and coach and mentor people through a 90-day program and into finally making some affirmation cards that we'll talk about later, into doing a program that right now that we are a project that we're releasing called Visionary Elite Club. So there's quite a bit that I'm working on, including doing some speaking events coming up in Dallas. So there's a lot that I'm doing.
Beautiful, beautiful. So what I'm endeavoring to do, Darla, is share your link from the television show, if I can, with our nice new modern technology here. And yes, actually, I can. So I have shared the link so that anybody who is watching us can be able to go to our live stream and watch it. Although, actually, I guess if you're watching the live stream, yeah, if you're watching the live stream on YouTube, the link is there. If you're watching on LinkedIn, you'd have to go to Ask Arlene Show and see the link, because I'm not sure how to post the link in. Oh, wait. Yes, I can. I can post it right here. Paste. Beautiful. Okay, so now you guys also have the link for the actual show. So Darla, it's so exciting to have you on. I was glad that we were able to do two shows, really profiling your history and your experience, both as a mom and as an entrepreneur. And one of the key things that you talk about in your journey is the fact that affirmations have been helpful to you in terms of your achieving your goals. So, which is why you came up with these 90-day affirmation cards, which is the holy grail, so to speak, of your journey. So tell us a little bit about how affirmations helped you to win at the game of life and live courageously.
Well, affirmations for me was really a stepping stone of building and fortifying my mind with the information that I needed so that I could actually begin believing. When we endure a lot of things in life, a lot of times we believe what other people tell us. And we begin identifying with all of the scenarios and circumstances that we've experienced. So it literally creates a space within our mind that we feel less than who we truly are. But who we truly are is whole and complete from the foundations of creation. And if that is our real truth, how do we begin building ourselves back to it? The art of learning self-love was what I used, and the affirmations, there was 90 of them, different affirmations that I chose to use that helped me build myself. When coaching, when counseling wasn't working anymore, I was talking, I'd shared my story 1,000 times over. I had done everything that was necessary. But the problem was I wasn't believing any of the words that I was hearing because I didn't believe them. So affirmation was the part that started to empower me. The words that were necessary for me to actually understand that I am worthy of love, that I am worthy of respect. When my life exhibited so much without it, hearing these words over and over, like I am increasingly getting better every day. I'm increasingly getting better every day.
I love
Other
that.
things like
I'm
I believe.
increasingly getting better every day. That's one of the affirmations that you have in your 90-day cards. I
Mm-hmm.
love the fact that you talk about this specific time frame, because many people talk about affirmations and visualization, and they talk about it in terms of it being, just a woo woo thing, like, oh, this doesn't work, this is for, like, the crackpots and the weirdos. But actually, if we say it one time, yeah, perhaps it doesn't work, but there are some elements that are involved with creating effective implementation of these affirmations, one of which is that we have to do it long enough for it to take. We understand you go to college for 4 years in order to get a bachelor's degree. You go to an additional 3 to 4 years to get, your master's degree. But, or even, additional years to get a doctoral degree. But when it comes to affirmations, you gave us 90 days. And I think that's something that we really talk about in the show, because people know that it takes 21 days to form a habit. It takes 64 days then to, solidify the habit. But you go to 90 days. And a lot of times we'll say 90 days. Why did you say 90 days? And
Well,
create for every single day of the 90 days.
reason I chose 90 was because I realized after the 21 days that I had created a habit and I was doing good, and I was beginning to actually really own that habit by the time I got to 45 days. But when I made it all the way to the 90, I realized that I had reiterated so many different things over and over again. And it became the process from that 45 to 90 became that space of repetition. Repetition is where we begin building and actually learning.
How did you determine that this was going to be the key for you? Because there's so many things that are out there. How did you know that this was truly the key to push you over the edge, to truly, drop off the imposter syndrome that people have, to get rid of those negative beliefs? How did you know that this would work for you? What was the impetus that tipped you over? And not
Well, I
only
have
did it make you say, I'm going to do my affirmations, but I'm going to create 90-day affirmation cards and sell them to the world, because this is the tool. This is the key.
Well, I have to give credit where credit's due. That has to go to God, because it was really strategic. There are, biblically, there's tons of different references to different time frames and numbers and different things like that. But I would say that the key for me was realizing after doing it and setting myself up for that 90 days the next time I went through it, because I had done it 3 times before I shared it with anybody else. So I had gone through 3/4 of a year doing this for myself, because I was really fortifying me before I even attempted to share it with anyone else, because I wanted to make sure that it really worked. And I realized every time I did it, I just increased and it just got easier and it got better. And
An example of where so I know your story, and if they watch the whole show, they're going to hear your story, because it's a part one and a part two. But give us a snippet that tells us where you came from, and a specific incident that you could see that you attributed the success of that particular thing to your affirmation?
After years of going to therapy, counseling, groups, and everything else, I had felt that I had come through it, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't secure. I wasn't feeling like I had any confidence. I was still a shell of an individual because of the outcome of the circumstances that I had gone to. What became that key was realizing the importance of filling myself up. I was always looking for outside validation and looking for people to empower me. But I had to realize that the affirmations became the key to actually empower myself, where I was giving the words that I needed. Because, in love languages, when we're talking about that, you think about the 5 different love languages out there. You look at quality time, encouragement, acts of service, gift giving, and physical touch. My highest priority for me has always been encouraging words. I give it out all day long. So I'm dumping out my love tank everywhere I go. I'm telling people that they can. I believe in them. I see their potential. I see their worth. And I see that they can become more than what they even realize. So I was giving it away. But what I was doing was I was draining my own tank. And as I was doing that, what I did and what I realized was every time I would read my affirmations, repeat them, say them over and over, write them down 25 times, do it this way, that way. I mean, there's a ton of different things that I use and implement throughout the course. But when reiterating and saying the affirmation, I believe in my abilities to achieve. And that's just one real quick off the top there. When I choose to understand that I believe in my abilities to achieve, I'm not looking outside of myself for somebody else to believe in me anymore. I'm now empowering myself to believe in me, which then allows me that confidence to actually execute what I need to. But I had to build that within myself because I was waiting for the world to tell me I believe in you. And I got a lot of, things like can't, never, did anything, and that was my encouragement around me. So it
Hands
wasn't,
never did anything. I've
that
not heard
was
that.
the words
That's a
I
word.
got from my family is can't, never, did anything. And so literally, here it is. There's a sentence within itself that was like almost a oxymoron. And I was sitting there in a place going, what does that even mean? Well, I had to figure out what that meant. And literally, that began me realizing that every time I said I couldn't, I wouldn't. And every time I said I could, I did. So realizing that the power of what I speak. So when I'm speaking these words over myself over and over again, I'm actually creating a power of belief within myself. I'm generating that belief within me. So affirmations are truly, truly a key to helping you to build your self-confidence and your self-worth. And you don't have to look outside of yourself for it anymore because it's important when you build it yourself, nobody can take it away. It doesn't matter what circumstances and situations that happen around you. When you know who you are and you know what you want, when you can identify those things and you know yourself so well inside and out, no matter what circumstance arises in your world, you're able to walk through it because you have fortified yourself.
And the nice thing about affirmations, just to keep it simple, is that it's easy. It's easy to do, and it's also easy not to do. So many people will skip it and not do it because it's easy not to do. But if we can have something that's so effective that, so many successful people have done and used and utilized, and they speak so highly of it, and it can be done easily, why not do it? Like, what is there to lose? Many people say, oh, well, I did it twice and it didn't work. And I wonder, well, keep going. I mean, you've given us a 90-day framework because you actually have cards that you're going to pick up every single day to use in your journey. Another secret that we talk about in terms of affirmations truly being useful is the fact that we need to look at the emotion behind it. We need to look at the intention behind it while we're saying the affirmation. So people just say, well, yeah, I'm rich, I'm rich, I'm rich. Of course, that's not necessarily going to be something that manifests. But if we truly have the intention behind it and we have the emotion behind it and we're saying something that we truly want to manifest, then it makes more sense that it would manifest. And also, in addition to the time frame and the intention and the emotion, also visualization, because this time that we spent, it was about visualization and affirmations. Because if we can see it in our mind's eye, then we're more likely to actually implement it. If we can't see it, but we're saying it from our mouth or with our words, then it's that much more challenging to manifest. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about the process. What was the process for you getting into this business of making affirmation cards? Like, were you an artist formerly? And so this was you merging together your artwork with your life coaching and putting them together. What brought you to what was the process?
Well, I had come against a situation where some of my funds had started to run short. I wasn't actually coaching at the moment, and I needed to figure out another resource to use with what I was already doing. So I spend time every day creating new ideas. Not everybody does that. I sit down and I write at least 5 new, amazing, wonderful ideas every day. I could probably write you 100 every morning before breakfast.
Wow.
But like that's a whole nother chapter of me. But
Mm-hmm.
when it came down to this, I wasn't actually landing any clients at the time because I had a recent situation, and I was going back through my course for myself anyways, because I had a recent breakup and I was rebuilding myself. So in that, I had to figure out another resource because I had to take some time down where I could still make some money. But being an artist, I've been an artist my whole life.
That's a key thing that you shared with us. You said that you had a recent breakup. So it was something that happened that you could have perceived as negative, but you turned it into a positive. So you turned it into a stream whereby you were going to enhance your business and, be even more lucrative. That is so key because so many of us have challenges and we'll sit back. Even with my journey, I had a challenge and I sat back, as opposed to having that challenge and saying, asking the question, how do I use this to move forward? How do I use this challenge to empower me and to help others too and empower others?
So what I was doing, because I needed a stream of income, and what I was doing was, okay, well, I have these resources. I could make these cards. Here's the affirmations. I'm going to be using them every day anyways. I'm working through it. So I just started making them. And I honestly made them just so I could do my own like little daily things with people on Instagram. And so that I could just flip a card and just do an affirmation of the day is how it started. And I was like, let's see what happens with it. It's one of those, just like when I published the children's books that I did a few years ago in 2018 and 2020. When I published the 2 children's books, I wrote them and illustrated them. So as an artist, just by nature, that's what I do. That's a part of my creative expression. Just so I've used art for years as my own personal therapy for releasing emotional feelings.
That's
So,
wonderful. While I was doing a social work program at one point, I did something called play therapy. And in play therapy, they're teaching you how to work with kids. And of course, you're using art to
yes,
play and using the different colors. So that's right in line with what I believe works.
that that was how it came to be for me. I promoted it where people could buy them individually or as 5 decks at a wholesale price, so that I had different prices, sets, and stuff. So, and just being able to make sure that people are empowering themselves through the affirmations is really what it was about. Making sure that it became available, that no matter who, if it's your aunt, if it's yourself, or if it's your child who needs to be encouraged every day. When you deal like I was saying about the love tanks, when you have somebody who needs encouragement all the time, who's constantly looking for that validation. They're not looking for validation. They're looking to be told who they are because they forget. They literally forget because they're giving it away. And that is something that I realized within myself. I always needed somebody to come and tell me and remind me, Darla, you are doing good. Darla, you are doing this. And it was because I had never taken the time to build that within myself because I didn't even know it was necessary.
So,
So
what point did you know that it was necessary to do the affirmations? Because there are many people walking around who are saying, "Oh, yeah, this is nice," and they'll flip off because they say, "Well, I don't need affirmation cards." What made you realize it was necessary?
I was spending too much time in the inner dialogue within my mind, hearing the negative self talk instead of anything positive. That every time I was doing something, like when I published my first book, I heard everyone telling me, "Oh, congratulations. I'm so proud of you, this and that." And I was just like, "That's really nice. Thanks." I didn't know how to accept it. I didn't know how to receive those words. I had never found myself in a space of accomplishment until that moment. So I had no inner confidence. I had nothing to bounce it off of. So I had to develop it. I had to create it. And that's why I created the affirmations in the program, because I realized how important it was for me to build it for me. Because if I didn't have it, then that meant there was a lot of people in the world that didn't either. And it was, something that I felt was really placed upon my heart to go give that love to the world. You know, getting a little religious for a moment in some people's perspectives, or spiritual in others. I'm going to say it like this: God, the source of the universe, literally deposited into me a blueprint through reading scripture over and over again, until I finally realized that I was in charge of changing my story, that he gave me that power to do so. And the affirmations were born because of that, because he was showing me how to build it within myself so that I could give that to the world. It was just a gift from above.
Beautiful. So you felt inspired to do these 90-day cards, inspired by God, inspired by
100%.
love to do these 90-day cards.
100%.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think maybe that's also why I found you and why you were doing 2 shows with us, because I truly believe in what you're doing. And I would encourage everybody and anybody to go ahead and get these 90-day cards in your self actualizing journey so that you can begin to live courageously as well, just as Darla has. It's wonderful to be able to work in our respective silos, but if the mindset is in order, if we can gain affirmations that are going to empower us to feel great. I know that Tony Robbins calls it the cape. If anybody's been to, spent the thousands of dollars to go to his conferences, one of the things he talks about is that when you enter the room, you have on that cape and you're visualizing yourself as, like, the superwoman or superman before you even begin to speak, before you even begin the dialogue. And so you're at the top of your game and you're speaking from that place. I know there's another coach. Her name is, she does the, okay, well, we don't need to advertise people for free, but Macy, she talks about how the mindset that you're in when you go to sell to people, when you go to impart your information, whatever it is that you do, is of paramount importance. It's truly what impacts your coaching business, being a 6-figure coaching business or being, a very minuscule coaching business. And so the affirmation cards help us to be in that frame of mind to ensure that when we approach whatever it is that we're doing, that we're going to be on 10 and not, yielding efforts from our cup rather than from our saucer. If we like the analogy that Lisa Nichols uses. So all of these different strategists and transformational experts and motivators, and me as a life coach, we're all sharing. In my book, I share it in the 10 secrets overcoming fear, getting unstuck, and living your best life. I talk about two, which is visualization and affirmation. But the simple minutia of it is get the 90-day cards. And then you can just say those affirmations every day over 90 days, ensuring that you're in the right time frame, ensuring that you have the emotion, ensuring that you have the actual words to attach. And it's just a great way to remember because sometimes we forget. We're so busy, we're doing other things. We forget to actually say the affirmations as well as listening to all of the content and reading the books and doing the other things that we're doing.
Well, and then it's just a quick flip. You can actually shuffle your cards and get a different card every day. And I'm going to go ahead and lay that one down there. Like, I am enough, and you can go throughout your day thinking, I am enough. How many times in our life do we wish somebody would tell us, I am enough?
Wow.
I am enough. And I'm saying it to myself. So every time I pass a mirror or anything reflective, I can look at myself and say, I am enough.
I am enough. That is so beautiful. Every time you pass a mirror. And also another good thing about these affirmation cards is that they're pretty, and they're small enough you can just put it in your purse and just as you're going out your day. As a matter of fact, there's another motivational speaker. What's his name? Bob Proctor, I think it is.
Yeah.
He talks about putting them in your wallet. And so
Carrying them in your wallet, yes.
every time you go to, where's my wallet? Here's my beautiful wallet. Every time you go to take out your money, you see those beautiful cards and you just say it to yourself while you're doing whatever activity you're doing. So you don't have to take time away from your busy schedule. So you're like, oh, I have the kids, I have to go shopping, I have to, speak at this board meeting. You don't have to make any special time for it. Just put it where you'll see it. And every time you see it,
somewhere where you can bump it, see it. Like if you laminate it, you can throw it in your pocket. And every time you reach in your pocket, you can touch it. And you'll actually automatically, your mind will remember what it is, which will actually allow it to attract to you faster.
Beautiful, beautiful. And the place that they go to get it, you have a website, a beautiful website that the Ask Arlene show helped you to develop. It is bit.ly, bit.ly/Darla Williams.
Thank you.
bit.ly/Darla Williams. So we truly want to make sure that it's easy for everyone to get to and utilize, because this is a key tool. Because there's the toolbox. There's no really one thing. It's a whole toolbox of things, but this is a key secret in that toolbox because it works. It works.
It really does. And what I was saying in the program a little bit ago when we were recording was the affirmation for me that brought me to life was I radiate self-confidence. I didn't believe in that at all when I started.
Radiate self-confidence. That's
I
huge.
radiate it. It's just oozing out of me. I did not believe that when I first said it, but now I say it and my whole body like screams it because I finally embodied that. Like I can really look at myself and say to myself, yes, I do radiate self-confidence because I finally built that confidence within myself. And it takes time and it takes practice, and you're worth it. You are worth it. I had to learn I was, and I want to teach the world they are too.
I think that's a key tool when you said that you are worth it. How many times are we going through life and we're just speeding through and we're doing stuff for other people? And this is not, if you're like a totally selfish person, then this probably isn't for you. But for most of us who are high achievers, we're doing things for other people. We're constantly thinking of other people and how this can help them, what we're doing. But it's important to fill up our cup. It's important for us to be motivated and for us to be inspired and for us to be fed so that we can work from the saucer and not from the cup. So I'm so excited about the fact that this helps us to ensure that every day, throughout the day, we're in the right state of mind. And I'm definitely a mindset coach. And I truly believe that affirmations will help us to streamline our thought processes, because many people think it's a one-shot deal. So I went to the conference, I spent the funds, and I did this big thing. But is it really in the big thing, or is it really in the daily minutia? Is it really in the everyday, what am I thinking? We said that after the age of 35, Darla, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but after the age of 35, they say that there are very few new thoughts that we have and new activities. Like, do you eat the cake? Well, either I eat cake or I don't eat cake. So for me, somebody who doesn't eat meat, I don't have to think about it. I just don't eat meat. If you offer me meat, I don't eat meat. It's not a thought process as to whether or not I'm going to accept. With the affirmation cards, it will shift your mindset, because the more and more repetition, it will actually build new neurotransmitters in your brain, so that you will now be connected to this thought process, and it will come up automatically, as opposed to defaulting to those old thought processes that you've had for the last 30, 40 years. And if you're 20, okay, well, you have a better shot because you haven't been thinking those thoughts for as long.
I definitely agree with that right there in regards to, and that was in reference to when I was talking a little bit ago about how I didn't have any foundation for my confidence, where I didn't have that. It was because of the upbringing and the circumstances and situations that I was depleted of those things before I even, like, I used to say I was broken before I began, and had to learn how to climb out of that pit to the Zion, Mount Zion in my life. And that was like my personal journey. But the affirmations in themselves, what was so key to what you said was, let's say you've endured a severe trauma. When you have a trauma, I'm not going to use the proper terminologies, but I'm going to tell you. So say the brain pan of the base part between the conscious and the subconscious mind. You have let's imagine that space being like the windshield of our car. And we have all these circumstances and situations that are happening in our life, and these rocks are being kicked up into the windshield of our car. What's going to happen? It's going to continue to create holes, damages, and eventually it's going to implode on itself. When we have reoccurring traumas that happen, we lose our sense of worth and our sense of stability and our ability to have confidence, because we've been put in circumstances that made us feel so less than who we are.
I love the fact that you talk about childhood trauma. You talk a lot in the show about what actually happened to you and what happened to your son with the domestic violence and all that stuff. But just overview, when you talk about the number of people who have these negative thoughts that are playing, a lot of us have these negative thoughts based on things that happened in the past that we held on to. And for some reason, it's easier for the human brain to hold on and latch on to the negative things than it is for us to latch on and replay the positive things. So if we have the affirmation cards, you can pull them out and constantly be thinking, oh, okay, this is really who I am now. And I love this concept. It's in my book, and I talk about changing your whole standard, like changing who you are. Okay, because whoever you believe you are is the level at which you're constantly going to play at. So if you believe that let's say you made 100,000 last year, and you believe that's your threshold, that's your standard, you're pretty much going to make between 100,000, a little bit above, a little bit below, but you're pretty much going to be at that threshold. So we have to step out of that mindset and step into this new mindset in order to raise the standard and now become the person who earns the 350 or who earns the 250, as opposed to the person who earns the 20,000 a year, because that's what you've earned in the past. And another key thing is that we earn within $5,000 of the people that we spend most of our time with. So if we're around others who are not doing affirmations, the chances are we're not doing affirmations. And so we have to also use secret number 4, which is proximity, and find the people who are embodying the stuff that we truly want in our lives. So that's really key. And the affirmations will help to take us. They're like the train or the car that will drive us to that place where we truly want to spend most of our time and dwell.
Exactly. And bringing that, what I was saying in regards is literally when using the affirmation, it was where I was able to take that shift from where you were talking about the neurotransmitters, where that shift comes in, is that is it is in that process is when you begin retraining. It's a retraining your mind because of those traumas. You literally break, and when you have broken, you have to take what fragmented pieces of you that are left over and rebuild your life. You have to choose a new path. You have to take what little bit you have and find out what it is that you really want to keep, create and recreate yourself from after the
Which is
trauma,
literally what happened to you. You had to pick up the pieces and begin a
and
whole.
begin putting myself back together. And that's why the 90 days was so important, because it took me that long to even grasp what I was doing. Then I redid it, and then I redid it again. And finally, on that third time, was when my affirmations began to set. So I had actually done it almost a full year before. So I had gone through the 90 days 3 times and realized of the third time when everything inside of me lit up and I believed it. So I want people to understand this isn't an overnight thing. Nothing that we do is going to ever be overnight. We didn't instantly become overweight. We didn't instantly have the relationship traumas. We didn't instantly have the problems in our family. These were a series of events that happened over a course of time. So just like that, when it was the problems that came in, we can actually redirect ourselves and rebuild ourselves through the time that we want to in our personal growth and development. Personal growth and development is the key to everything.
Many people have heard of Lisa Nichols, the famous motivational speaker from The Secret. And she talked about how she was overweight at one juncture, but she couldn't wait till she took off all the weight in order for her to show up being the successful entrepreneur that she was. And I found that to be so impactful because I saw her in The Secret and I saw that she was overweight. And I still thought, well, what is this lady saying? What does she have to say? And the thing is, the person who might be impacted by the skinny person and listen to the skinny person may only want to listen to the person who is a full bodied person, the full figured person, because they look and they say, okay, well, that person is like me. And so somebody might be holding themselves back and saying, well, I can't do this thing until I drop 20 pounds. But you actually need to do that thing while you're in that body because that's what people need to see. Look at Oprah Winfrey. She was huge. Imagine if she had waited till she got to be skinny Oprah before she began self actualizing and doing the thing that she's become famous for. No, she had to actually work with what she had at the time. And then along the journey, she lost weight, she gained weight, she lost weight, she gained weight. But she was in there. She was doing what she was gifted to do. And I think that's so important, Darla, that we don't use anything as a crutch, that we don't use anything as a
Exactly.
scapegoat. Some days I get up and I'm like, oh, okay, my hair doesn't look good, so I'm not going to go live today. No. What is the message that we're imparting? What is it that you're giving to people why they should sign up for your services, your coaching services, or read your book that you've written, or buy your products and services? Focus on the message, and people will receive you ironically for those very things that you think are shortcomings in your journey. So that's one of the reasons why I talk about my being hired, recruited out of 300 people. Some people say, oh, well, who does she think she is? She's got all these degrees and she got recruited. But I tell the story because I want somebody else to know who's on the journey. Just because you may be, challenged in an area, it doesn't mean that you can't continue on the journey. So I was, my name was in lights, which is why I was talking to the media and I was talking to the newspapers. But then when I got fired, my picture was on the front cover of the newspaper and across my face it said fired. I mean, that was terrible, and I was stuck and I needed help to get up, which is how I found coaching in the first place, Darla. That's how I was able to
Oh, wow.
even begin to start getting up. it was coaching, because they gave me the steps in the coaching to get the right mindset to begin to get up. And that's why we're here today talking about secret number 2 on the 10 secrets, which is affirmations and visualizations, because I truly believe that that's what helps us move forward. And in line with the things that we talked about, which was the time frame, you said it's 90-day cards, right?
90 days.
In addition to the fact that we said there has to be emotion behind it and intention behind it, we also have to visualize the thing that
that's why, like, if they were to choose to come to me through the coaching aspect, they get a PDF that goes along with it, so that they have the affirmations plus a an assignment each day that goes with them. And it comes, I have it in 2 ways. I have it in 2 forms, with scripture and without. Then I also do a 90-minute session each week with people. So say you've come through 7 days of the course, we're going to get together on that 7th day, and we're going to start talking about what you're learning and start working on uprooting those things that are going on, helping you to develop and create that world in which you want. So basically, God gives us the ability to live within, he formed us and fashioned us to live and receive our heart's desires. And how do we begin doing that?
I'm sorry, Darla. What are some of the scriptures that you use in your 90-day journey, in your 90-day cards or affirmations?
Well, I start off with it. In the very first one is, in the beginning, God created man and woman, and then in his image and in his likeness. So we are creators. So we start off with being recognizing who we really are from the foundations of creation. We're made and formed and fashioned in the image of our creator. So if we are already that, what happened is we got off track and lost our way. That being born is that first initial arrow pivot in, and that separates us. As soon as we come out the womb, we get separated from that cleave of being in that holy space. So being in that space, what happens is now we've been separated, where the enemy has reigned on the earth. And what happens is now we have the attacks and the circumstances and situations that can happen to us. So when we look at the spiritual side,
I believe that what you said in terms of, starting at the beginning, the first step that I believe in the journey is to be clear about what it is that we want. So you can say these affirmations for 90 days, but if you're not truly clear about where you want to go, then it makes it that much challenging for God, if you believe in God, or the universe, or whatever you believe, to bring it to you. So step number 1, even in the 10 steps in my book, the first step is clarity. Being clear about what we want. I have so many people come to me, Darla, and say, "Oh, I want coaching. I want, to change my life." But yet they're not clear on what kind of business they want or how they want to change. There was a young lady that I was speaking to. She wants to go to change her life. She's a college student, and she was transferring, and she wants to go to Stanford University. I'm here in California, so that's one of the best universities here in California. And she said, I asked her, well, what is it that you want? And she spent all of this time telling me, what she didn't want. Oh, I'm transferring from this other school because I don't really like it. What happened at the other school? Why she can't truly manifest. I'm sorry, guys. Why she can't truly manifest this. And the secret really is, why are we spending so much time complaining about the things that we don't like? Secret number 6 is focus. Focus on what it is that we do want. Where attention goes, energy flows. So the affirmations curb us right back to where it is that we need to focus. Curb us right back to where it is that we need to talk about, where it is that we need to be and live in that space of, this is what I want. And also the fourth thing, which I didn't say, well, it's in line with visualization. The visualization secret is to see the end from the beginning. So I already have it. I've already manifested it. Yes. And with affirmations, that's just the support to help us to say out loud the things that We already have, because we're already that person, and we've transformed into the new person and left the old person, which is why I notice a lot of people today too, even with life coaches, they'll say, I'm a transformational coach. I'm not a life coach, because the idea is the affirmations will transform us. We're transforming and becoming that new standard, that new person, so that the things that we used to do, we don't do anymore. Those thoughts that we used to have that were native to that person, we don't have anymore, because we're not that person anymore. We're this new person. So we have the step one, which is clarity about where it is that we want to go. And a lot of people also, they have a lot of things that they want to do. I'm not saying you can only do one thing. I'm saying focus on one at a time. At a time.
Exactly. You can have an empire. You're allowed to have an empire. Just make sure that you get that real focus on each part of that and spend the whole time staying in one space. That's the key.
Beautiful. Can you imagine if for 90 days you're focused on this thing and you're affirming it every day? You're looking in the mirror, you're saying it to yourself, you're rehearsing it over and over. The same way that we have built this other person that has the automatic defaults to the negative thought process. Now we're creating this person. And the crazy thing is, your brain will default after a while
Yes.
to the very words that are on the cards. You know, one of the scriptures that I like is Philippians 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So my brain will default to that when I'm thinking, when I would initially have been thinking the negative thought. Now my brain will default to, oh, I can do this. I just have to sit and focus and think about it, you know? And like I said, you don't have to be a religious person. There are a lot of secular people who use these same affirmation tools, and they use them to win. So why not you?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's not just for Christians. It's not just for any religion. It's for all people. It's equal for everyone to be able to empower themselves. You know, bringing a unity within the body all the way around through all people, because we're all connected.
Wow, is that not truth? We are all connected. And we want to remind you that you can go to the website and get these affirmation cards. You can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/ this lovely lady here, Darla Williams, and get those affirmation cards for 90 days and begin to change the trajectory of your life. I'm so glad that I was able to meet you, Darla, and be able to take this journey with you. That's another thing. Don't do life alone. You know,
Right?
you have your business and you have these things that you want to do and you want to achieve. Like, don't do it alone. It makes the journey that much easier, and you can achieve the goals that much faster when you have a team of people working with you. So here's a lovely lady I'm presenting to you. Tell me the name of your coaching program. Love, life.
The art of learning self-love.
The art of learning self-love. This is a key piece in the art of learning self-love, the piece of affirmations and daily affirmations. And I have a story of where I wanted to get a job. I wanted to get a job. I worked as a director of I worked at a healthcare facility, one of the largest healthcare facilities in the country. And I was working in a capacity of like public relations, but I wanted to do media relations because, as you know, I had the 30-day get on TV in 30 days. I'm really interested in media. But at that point, I hadn't really gotten into media. And I visualized myself working in that capacity. Lo and behold, I'm a director, and the person who's the director of media, her office was right beside mine. I never thought to ask her because, I mean, that's what she did, but I wouldn't want to take her job. So it never made sense for me to ask her. But lo and behold, she said to me, I am actually looking for an assistant. Is it something that you would be interested in doing? And I said, actually, yeah, I would actually be interested in doing that kind of work. And it began, you know, a conversation, which then led to a lot of wonderful things. So affirmations work, you know, first being clear about what you want, then doing the affirmations and the visualizing and all the things that come under that to make it work, and then doing it, walking it out. Secret number 3, which is momentum. And you mentioned that you wrote stuff down. I'm a proponent as well of you writing down, your thoughts around these affirmations. But start with the affirmations, because as you're doing the affirmations, you're going to have thoughts that come to mind about what you should do and how you should do it. As you're saying, well, I already have this. And then those are things that you can write down, as opposed to writing it now from the backdrop of, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know where I should.
One of the things in the course that I teach is you have to write the affirmation anywhere from 3, 5, 6, or 9 times, depending. Sometimes 25. Just different times in regards to writing, because that motion of actually writing out the affirmation as along with stating the affirmation helps to actually implement it into the mind. It allows you to actually begin keeping and retaining the information. Writing is important.
I think that's key. I think so many of us know about these things. Like when we talk about affirmations and visualizations, I don't think most of the people listening are saying, well, I've never heard of this concept before. I think most people have heard of the concept. I think it's more so a matter of implementation. And that's where coaching comes in, because the coach helps you to implement it. These cards, these reminder cards, help us to implement that step. So we have all these conferences that we've been to, and we have all of the preaching that we've heard, and we have all of the speakers and the teachers and the gurus, and we've got all the information. I always say we already have 90% of what we need, and it's just that 10% that we need in order to turn the corner and truly manifest the things that we want. And one of the key secrets to that manifestation is affirmations and visualization. Having a coach to be right there when you're in the moment. And I love the concept where it's in the decisions. The key to success and the key to achieving our goals and our dreams is in the decisions, the little minutia, the little daily decisions that we make. And so the affirmation cards are our little cheat sheet. They're our little cheat sheet to ensuring that we will think that right thought. And if we can think the right thoughts, remember, our thoughts control our actions. Our thoughts control our actions. Our actions control the destiny that we have ultimately in life. So if we can grab a little cheat sheet, grab the card, and you can show your cards that can tell us to think right thoughts. There we go. Then we can begin to get in that vehicle and do the things that we ought to do. Don't eat that donut if that's not what you're supposed to eat. Or, don't talk negatively about ourselves, but actually say, I can do all things, or I can do this thing that I have to do. I can implement this thing that I need to implement. So, that's a key piece.
You mentioned earlier your favorite scripture. Mine is Mark 10:27.
What does it say?
And that scripture says, with man, it's impossible, but with God, all things are possible. So what's possible? All things are possible.
And you're a living, breathing example
Truly,
of that. You hear her story, guys. You watch the videos, the 2 television shows that we did, a part 1 and a part 2. You hear how she started with basically very little to work with. I mean, it's not like you started out with a lot to work with, and you took those little pieces and you made them into a beautiful house and a beautiful collage that now is able to reach out and help other people. So we're not going to go into the whole story, but you have quite a story. And I applaud.
It is an intense story. If you're not ready for intensity, you don't want my story. If you're ready to see that it is possible to literally overcome every form of adversity and actually walk through it, the scripture in Isaiah 40, I'm not sure which one, in which actually I can't remember the exact one, but it's in Isaiah, and it talks about going through the fires and the waters, going through
the fire there behind me.
In the fires and the waters. That is my journey. I truly, truly went from that pit of life where there was nothing. There was no hope. I was hearing impaired. I'm shorter than the average person. I'm under 5 foot. I'm probably legally a dwarf. I have every possible limitation that they could have told me that I had. I'm sight impaired, hearing impaired. I have, um, I went through abuse when I was very young and to my adulthood, to half of my life, to finally overturning and changing everything about my world. And it really did start it with one thing. I made a decision. I made a decision on investing in me and turning inward instead of outward, because there was no hope outside of me. I had to begin developing it and working on it on the inside out. And when I did, my entire world around me shifted. And when they say that it's inside out or upside down, or going from going inward first and then it'll change the outer world, that's absolute truth, because I am one person who literally broke all of the statistics. I should have been left somewhere in a room rocking myself back and forth from the circumstances and the situations that I went through. But instead, I decided that I was worth taking the journey, going back through it all and looking at every part so that I could actually heal that and be able to be of use to other people. My entire heart and everything is people are my passion. And I want to help them to understand that they don't have to be locked into those statistics and labels that are placed over us, that we can truly actually transform and rearrange our lives. But it starts with us making a decision. And no matter who you are, what your story is, I would love to walk with you and help you understand how you can do it too.
So, secret. Go to bit.ly/Darla Williams and get your affirmation cards as your step one on the journey to living courageously, because it's a constant daily thing. I think that's the most important success secret, that it's not a one-stop shop. It's something that we have to do daily and regularly. And even now that I have been on this journey for so many years, I still need to be reminded. I have a coach, and Oprah Winfrey, who's so successful, she says she has a coach, and she has the coach tell her in her remind her that she is enough when she feels like she's not enough. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if she is as successful as she is, one of the wealthiest women on the planet, and she needs a life coach to tell her, or transformational coach to tell her that she's enough, then how much more would we need somebody as a coach to
Great.
help us? And if, let's say, you don't have thousands of dollars, because some of them are $15,000 a pop, or very expensive programs, here is a cheat sheet. Here's a $99 way of you being able to be your own coach with your affirmation cards, your 90-day affirmation cards. I think this is an excellent idea. I wish I had thought of it myself. If I had thought of it myself, I would have done it. That's why you're on the show today and we're promoting it, because I think it's truly helpful. It's truly helpful. Everyone should have affirmation cards that we literally carry around, and just every once in a while, show us your cards. Give us another one. Another one. What does it say?
I am building myself up from the inside out.
I am daily building myself up from the inside out. Empowerment. I am daily building myself up. What's that scripture? I am daily, I think it's John 4:4. Okay, I'm not really sure, but it's like, I'm daily overcoming the enemy because the one in me is greater than the one in this world. I think that that's what it makes me think of. Like, I'm daily
Okay.
overcoming, I'm
Greater is
daily
he that
building.
is in me than he is in the world.
There we go. Like, I'm daily doing this. So whether you're a religious person or you're not a religious person, the idea is that it's a daily process. And so if it is a daily process, we have to constantly be reminded throughout the day, because that's really the secret. The secret is that it's throughout the day. Because let's say I do it one time, I read it and I say, what does it say, Darla?
The one I just read was, I'm building myself up from the inside out.
Okay, so let's say I say I'm building myself up from the inside out and I say it in the morning and then I don't say it all the rest of the day. How is that helpful? I don't even remember. I don't
That's
even
why I
remember.
say when you can, you can always pull a card in the morning and carry that card with you throughout the day. And at the end of the night, put it back in your deck. Another thing is, say that you are a person who likes to share what you're doing. Take the cards with you and have other people, shuffle your cards for them and say, hey, I want to pull an affirmation for you for the day. What is your affirmation? Now is my time to shine.
What's
No
another
matter, there are so many different ones. I am kind and patient with myself.
Wow. I am
Yeah,
kind and patient with myself. You know what it said? So many of us are impatient and we feel like people are impatient with us. But really, what we're doing is reflecting back what it is that's in us. So we're impatient. So we think other people are impatient with us. And they're not necessarily thinking what we think they're thinking,
exactly.
but we're
Exactly.
impatient with ourselves. So, this concept that you just said, I am
Kind and patient with myself.
I am kind and patient with myself. That can just set the tone.
Totally changes everything. It totally changes everything.
It's a game changer. Give us another.
I make good and wise decisions.
I make wise
Good
decisions.
and wise
Put it in the
decisions.
camera. Hold it up. Yeah. I make good and wise decisions. Wouldn't that be great to make good and wise decisions all of the time?
But we
I'm
all do fall short of that. We
wise.
all do, no matter who we are.
But I'm reading my card. I make good and wise decisions all the time. I make good and wise decisions. I know I make good and wise decisions. I know I make good and wise decisions. So we start out with I
But do
make
you
good and
see how your body, as you kept saying that, you
wise.
started to
Good.
really empower yourself, but your voice even changed with it. Your
Yeah,
shoulders came back and you embodied that I make good and wise decisions.
right. I make
It's
good.
about your posture as well, standing there until you finally see yourself. And when the reason why I talk about the mirror so much is because you want to see the moment when you actually begin to believe it. It literally causes most of us walk around and we our light has been dimmed in the world, because of circumstances. We see ourselves and we're like, yeah, whatever. I'm looking at myself, brushing my hair, doing my thing. But when we start using those affirmations in front of the mirror, when we actually finally believe one of them, you can actually watch your eyes light up. You can watch your soul ignite, the fire begin to burn within, where you're actually coming alive to your truth. And it's really that part makes you feel so good, which actually helps you to begin get, gaining that posture, knowing that you have to come into alignment with yourself and with source. It
I
just
love it.
automatically begins to happen.
Talk to me about alignment. Talk to me about alignment.
Alignment. Now I'm
The
going
toe
to
in your
go
another
into,
way of putting it is the tongue in your shoe and the tongue in your mouth have to be going in the same direction. Otherwise, it's very hard to manifest. Tell me about alignment.
well, I'm going to talk a little bit more about chakras then in regards to that and the importance of your inner work and understanding that we have points within our body that actually has to come into alignment with above and below. What God has as a system coming through us, if we're not in alignment and within our own system, how can that message actually come from above, come through us, and actually transform into the world around us?
I think
It,
that's everything. This concept of alignment. Like on the one hand, we're saying, well, good things come to me. What was that last affirmation that you gave me?
I make good and wise decisions.
I make good and wise decisions, right? I'm saying I make good and wise decisions. And then at the same time, I'm going to pick up the bag of chips, which I love to eat, by the way. That's my thing. I
That's
pick
her
up the bag
vibe.
of chips and I want to eat them. So am I in alignment? Well, I could be. Maybe instead of my picking up the huge bag of chips and eating the whole thing, I pick up a small bag of chips and I eat the whole thing. Am I more in alignment? Yes, because
Yeah.
I can safely eat the chips, the small bag. So I do this other program. It's called the 5,000 Step Per Day Challenge. And I believe that we have to get the whole thing in order. Alignment is essential. It's not just the mindset, it's not just the actions, it's everything. Body, mind, and spirit. We're a whole being. And so if
Yeah.
we can begin to just get in alignment, doing the things that we say we're going to do, thinking the right thoughts that we are endeavoring to think, then we'll just be in alignment all the way around. And that's really the secret. That's really the goal. And this, I think, is like the little cheat sheet, the little cheat note that can help us get there just that much faster,
Hmm.
because it's a daily practice.
It is. It is definitely a daily practice.
Alignment. I think of like at one mint, because we're so fractured, and I think of ladies like myself who have had kids, who have been married, who have like executive level jobs, and there's so many fragments. There's this over there and there's that over there. One key secret is to put everything in one calendar. And we're not fragmented. We are one person. And if we can put everything in one calendar, we can begin to bring everything together and begin to be aligned. And the affirmations, these daily affirmation cards, can help us with that alignment, because now our thoughts are in line with where we actually want to go.
Exactly.
Give us another.
Well, we got to remember we have the power of life and death on the tip of our tongue. And if I'm speaking the negative dialogue of my life and talking about how, let's say I decided to relive a moment within my mind because, PTSD happens and people have had circumstances and situations and those repeating stories. If I'm repeating that story as if it is happening over and over again, I'm going to relive that story over and over again. But when I choose to change the words that are coming out of my mouth, I did go through that. I did have to go through that, but I'm no longer going through that. And now I'm empowering myself by teaching myself who I truly am. So we actually begin shifting. That's where the shift comes in and allows us to go from that circumstance to rediscovering who we truly are. And that's where our alignment comes in, because now we're aligned with our truth. We have to come to our truth, and it comes from us and what we're speaking. Heaven and hell happen all around us every day.
Wow. You're talking about visualization in the reverse when you talk about rehearsing those negative situations and rehearsing those negative scenes. And it's so simple to do. Like when something bad happens, we automatically default to, oh my gosh, can you imagine she said that? Can you imagine she said that? I don't know why she said that to me. It really hurt my feelings, especially as women, as men too. The situation was so crucial. It really, offended me. What is the secret? The secret is to actually rehearse that same situation, but rehearse it in a way that serves us. Rehearse it in a way that serves us. So how could that situation have gone that would have empowered you and impacted you? Rehearse that. Visualize that. Visualize that scene in order for us to feel better. Because remember, we're operating out of that cup and not out of the saucer. And if we're already annoyed because of what happened, then that next interaction that we have is also going to be treacherous as opposed to the advantageous conversation that we truly want to have. It's like in sales, because I've done sales, that conversation that's great. You hit it, you crush it. And then the next call, it's excellent. We crush it. And then the next one, we crush it, because we're in that flow, as opposed to that last call was terrible. This call that I'm on is terrible. I kind of know the next one is going to be terrible because I'm rehearsing the situation over and over. So if I can take a moment and visualization and affirmations, how I want the situation to go, how I endeavor for the situation to go, then the likelihood of the situation going that way is greater. So I'm so glad you mentioned that, Darla, because it made me think of that.
That is our power. We really, truly hold a power within ourselves, and it's what we speak. What we speak about, we bring about, truly.
And what
What
we
you think
visualize.
about, what you think about is what you're creating. We are the creator of our story in our life. So if we finally realize who we are, we can totally change the dynamic of the story around us.
Right.
But it starts with us.
And we're talking about this wonderful creation from Darla Williams Creations of these 90-day affirmation cards. But all of the concepts that we're talking about today are actually in the book called 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear and Living Courageously, because the idea is that there's nothing new under the sun. These things are there, they're out there, but we need these tools and tips and techniques in order to implement these things that we know in our lives. Like everybody knows, eat the salad as opposed to eating the chocolate cake. But most of us are going to eat what makes us happy in
Right?
the moment. I mean, there's some amazing ones of you, and so I applaud you. I'm not talking to you when it comes to that, but there's something in your life that is a challenge. And the idea is our coach comes alongside us and supports us in taking that right action, or in taking the action that is right for us, because what's
Mhm.
right for me may not necessarily be right for someone else. So it's important that we have the tools and the tips and the techniques, and the affirmation cards are a tool. The book, 10 Secrets to Overcoming Fear and Living Courageously, that's a tool or a technique. Hiring Darla for her coaching, hiring for my coaching program, that's another tool. All of
Yes.
these tools that we're giving are useful tools, tips, and techniques that we can use to move to the next level. And that's really where coaching comes in. In the last 5 minutes, I just want to reiterate, coaching is not necessarily a long, drawn out process. It's let's come up with the tools and techniques to get you to where it is that you truly want to go. This affirmation box, this $99 affirmation box for 90 days, is a key and essential tool to helping all of us. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful little display item you can put on your desk. And as people come in, you can share it with them. As people call you on the phone, you can share it. Well, today is day 23, and this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm about today. Create your whole group of people that are supporting you in this journey of transforming your life and becoming who it is that you want to be. So, in the last 4 minutes that we have, what are the last thoughts that you would like to share with us, Darla? Any last thoughts?
Mm. I guess, what I really would like to share with everyone is that no matter where you're at in life, anywhere is a good place to start. It doesn't matter if you feel like you can't do it, at least try. Begin with trying and trying again until it finally takes. Um, Knowing that you are worth every step of the way. I can't emphasize that enough. I know what it feels like to not have a self worth. I know what it feels like to not have confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to know that you are worth the work that goes into it. It's not easy. It's not an easy journey. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to be rainbows and butterflies all the way through it. Yes, in the end, you will come to a positive outcome and you will come to that place of positivity for yourself. But the journey itself is very daunting. It can be very challenging, and it's going to have you crying ugly in places that you don't want to cry ugly in, but it will bring you through to a place that will actually help transform your life and give you full restoration, where no matter what circumstance, no matter what situation you've been through, it will totally transform you to living from your heart's desires, which is what we all deserve to have. We were made abundant from the beginning of the foundations of creation. The only reason we're not abundant at this moment is because we have a limiting belief system that somebody else has programmed into.
Beautiful. I am so grateful to Miss Darla Williams for spending this past hour with us. She has done 2 shows with us, which you can go ahead and watch on Ask Arlene Show on YouTube and Ask Arlene Show on Facebook. And please go ahead and get her affirmation cards. Her affirmation cards can be received at bit.ly, bit.ly/Darla Williams. And we are so grateful for you to spend the time with us today. We hope that you will join us again next week. And during the week, watch us on YouTube at Ask Arlene Show. And we truly are all about love. I mean, if you're doing sales, you got to love your clients. If you're selling your book, you have to love the people that you are imparting your information to. And having these positive sessions or these positive cards will help you to make sure that you're in the right mindset to be able to move forward. So remember, you can go where you want to go, you can do what you want to do, and you can be who you want to be in the world. Follow us on Ask Arlene Show on all of the social media platforms, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you for spending the time with us. Drop me a line and let me know what your comments are, what your thoughts are in reference to what Miss Darla Williams had to say today and what I was sharing. And share with us if you would like to be on the show and be featured so that we can share your message with the world. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the chat and on the page. Thank you. Bye-bye.